your CV as a movie trailer. If your CV was a movie trailer, would you watch the movie? I think one of the things that we underestimate is that a CV is just a document. But if you really think about it, it's not just a document. It is your gateway to new opportunities. It is your gateway to increase salary. It is your gateway to promotion. It is your gateway to provide your children and your family with new opportunities. It is your gateway to improve your livelihood. It is your gateway to even change your environment. This is the mindset that I want you to have with your CV. No fluff, no generic statements, just compelling evidence why you are the best candidate for the job. Pretty much just a movie trailer highlighting your best scenes and your best impact so that people can actually watch the movie. In this case, so that people can actually call you for an interview. When I was applying for my job in London, I had changed my CV 100 times, maybe even 200 times, maybe even 300. If you can relate, please write it down in the comment section. I was wondering what is going on because I came to a point where I was getting a lot of rejections. And so I have to shift my mindset about my CV and look at how should I restructure my essay, the language, and everything else to comply or to fit. And I had to change and alter my CV based on that. So the key message here is really that taking a step back and thinking, is my CV competitive for the job that I'm applying for? And it's not just for the job that you're applying for. You're competing for the job with other people. And so the big question here is, what sets you apart? What is your unique selling point? And that is exactly what you need to highlight in your CV. If you start looking at your CV that it's not for you, but for your potential employer, what are they looking for? So it's not just a document that you can just shove over in your back corner and not put investment, planning, and strategy into it. In fact, if you have to invest in anything, your CV is the first thing that you should be investing in, because that's the first impression that your potential employer gets of you. And your CV is the defining factor of whether your potential employer will call you for an interview or not. So employers aren't looking for history lessons. Employers are simply looking at who you are, what's your value proposition, and how you fit in with their needs. In the era of AI and robotics, you need to upgrade your CV in a way that speaks to the demand of today's world. Anything that you need to start taking very serious is your CV. Create a habit of reviewing your CV at least monthly, because sometimes you forget. There are certain things, and you will see when I get into other episodes, that there are times where you forget your achievements, you forget certain things, and that is why it's important to know, what do I need to include in my CV? What is important? What is not important? And how do I collect or take stock of what is important? And also, if you can actually review your CV often, it actually also gives you an opportunity to plan where you are now. What is the gap between where you are and where you see yourself in the next 10 years, if you just look at your CV? And so your CV can actually help you future pace. It can help you plan and strategize on what you need to implement gradually to get to where you want to be in the next 5 to 10 years. So if you want to be the country director what does a CV of a country director look like? What qualifications do they have? What professional experiences do they have? What certifications do they have? What skills do they have? What type of achievements would they have? And so those are some of the things that you need to think about and meditate on and process, so that you can plan strategically on how you can get to that level of a CV to be competitive for the country director position. Another thing to consider is how things have shifted drastically. If you look at, or if you think about CV 10 years ago or 15 years ago, it's not the same today. Today, we're living in a world where remote working is possible. I think 15 years ago, we could not comprehend that because COVID-19, of course, made that possible. But 15 years ago, nobody thought remote working is something that is possible for most professions. It's something that happened now, or that is common now, because of what we went through with COVID-19. Another thing that one should consider when just thinking about CV and your mindset about it is AI and robotics. 15 years ago, AI was something was far-fetched some time in the future. It was something that was not really on everybody's lips. But today, AI is everywhere. AI is even in your recruitment process. Some employers use an application tracking system where they basically just use artificial intelligence to do the first short listing and long listing of candidates. And so now, even as you structure your CV, you need to think about, how can I beat the AI? How can I structure my CV in such a way that it gets picked up by AI? So those are some of the things that now we need to consider about CV. So in the coming series, I'll be breaking down every single part of a winning CV. I will be looking at the structure of a CV. I'll be looking at the different sections with practical examples on how you can build your CV to be competitive, not just in your local market, but globally competitive as well.